It means that nobody ever forgets Trey. And we hope that lots of kids learn from the lessons of Trey's life, the good and the bad, and are better people because of it. I think my fondest memory was when I first called you and said, I got a son who got cut from the 8th grade football team, really wants to be an athlete at Brother Martin. And I just didn't. I thought the best thing for him to do was to try and go to join the wrestling team to be conditioned, stretched, and build himself up. But I think we all found out that one thing Trey had that none of us knew was he had heart.
I was Coach Wiz's assistant when Trey started. And man, for some of those early junior high matches, Coach Wiz and I sat in the chair and we just looked at each other in amazement because we've got this kid out there who didn't appear to have a whole lot of athletic ability, but he fought. What do you remember about Trey's wrestling career?
He just had an unrelenting work ethic, that it was always, give it all. I remember him, I never had to work out at night or in the mornings, but he would wake up, go run, come home, run. He just wanted it more than anybody else.
The moniker that Trey got here from his teammates was Heart of a Lion. His junior year at State, he just had a crazy match. He had lost to the Chevis kid from Lafayette earlier in the year, and he pulled it out 12-10, and now all of a sudden, Trey Culotta is a state champion as a junior. And I remember he rolled in here before his senior year at a svelte 325 pounds. And I yelled at him from the moment he got on the scale until I kicked him out of the locker room. I said, you're off the team. Don't come back until you're near weight. To his credit, he walked out that day 325. He came back less than a month later below 300 pounds.
I remember the story of him weighing in. It was upstairs, like on the second floor, and he gets on the scale, and all of a sudden you just slapped his belly, and then you said, get off the scale, I don't want to see you on the scale again. Didn't take him long, and he lost all the weight and made weight and wrestled the whole season.
He rolls into his senior year now. Rummel has a football player who is a monster. Trey's 0-5. We're about to face the kid in the regional championships, and I pulled him in that door here, and I said, Trey, we're going to forfeit. We're not going to wrestle this match. And he goes, Coach, I want to wrestle. I said, no. We're going to beat him next week. And he looked at me and he believed me 100%. I don't know if I believed it, but he believed me. From the parents' point of view, going to that state finals match, what are you thinking out there?
Well, first of all, I knew the other kid's mom. She worked at labor and delivery with me as an obstetrician, and she's an OB nurse, and we commiserated over our kids. And he's a great kid. He's a fine athlete. He's a big kid, bigger than Trey actually at the time. And I knew Trey. I knew Trey was one of those kids that just never gave up. He was tenacious.
The next week, what happens? We go to the Superdome for the state finals. Trey takes it into overtime, double overtime. He gets the fall, 2-time state champion.
I think he had achieved what he wanted to achieve going into his senior year, and for lack of a better term, got a little lazy and didn't have that work ethic. And then he was humbled. He was humbled through being overweight. He was humbled through losing every match to Keith Tomlinson, but he still had that fire and he still had that unrelenting willingness to kind of go to the mat and give it everything he has. And, no one thought he was going to win that match. I think he might have been the only person that thought he was going to win that match.
Trey set this program up for success. Now, all of a sudden, we become heavyweight high. And now it's little brother's turn to step in. You were ready going into your senior year to fill those shoes. Then all of a sudden, tragedy hits us. Man, it seems like it was yesterday for me sitting in this locker room. I remember it was a Thursday evening. We had just finished preseason practice because it wasn't October 1st yet. And Trey came in here to pick you up.
It was one of the last conversations I had with Trey. He was picking us up. He was late. You and I were the last people in the locker room. And Trey comes in and he asks the question to you. He's like, Robbie, so how's he going to do this year? And you looked at him and he said, 20-20, top 3 in state. And his response was, nah, undefeated state champ. And that was one of the last conversations we had. He died that night, and the rest is history.
As a family, how do you support Jason now? There's a tragic accident, you lose your son, and then all of a sudden we come back that year and you've got to be at those wrestling tournaments to support Jason. How did y'all get through that season?
Well, I think we got through the season from a number of reasons. Number one, when Trey died, we had a lot of family that supported us, a lot of friends that supported us, and we tried to do something meaningful. We didn't ask for flowers. We asked in lieu of flowers contributions to Brother Martin's wrestling program, because the wrestling had meant so much to his maturity, his education, his self-realization of his ability to conquer anything he wanted to conquer. And I think that's what wrestling taught Jason as well. You can do anything you want to do.
Obviously, losing Trey was, shocking to the whole family. And I think, you grieve for yourself, and everybody in your family grieves differently. I think at that moment in time, I felt it was more important for like mom and dad than it was for me. I had my own individual desires to win. I guess, obviously that whole summer before, there was a lot of things that I did to kind of get myself in position to be a starter, but it kind of all goes out the window. And it was just the whole program, every wrestler, it was very easy to work hard because of the people in the room.
We started the scholarship, and it meant something to us that the wrestling tournament was then named after Trey, and Jason was wrestling in that tournament. He was going to, we hope, win that championship trophy for this, and he did. And I think we saw a lot of things that happened that made us believe that Trey would never be forgotten, and that was the one thing we wanted. We didn't want people to forget about his story and what he did in life.
I think your teammates took the burden of you feeling that you needed to win for Trey. I think everyone took it on that year. 7 state champions, 5 runners-up, 1 third place and 1 fourth place, 328 points. Tell me about the team and what they did for you.
Chris Sarang, Brad Higgins, all those guys kind of just picked me up when I needed it.
What does the Trey Culotta tournament, and what does it do for you and the family to be able to come back here every year?
The legacy lives on. I mean, this was, obviously Trey's life was cut short and he didn't get to achieve a lot of the things that he wanted to achieve in his life. But, the first goal he set was to win state, and he, won state. He became, I think it was Brother Martin's first All-American wrestler, and when he went placed at the Burandt Nationals. This was his legacy, was overcoming all obstacles to win, 2 state champions.
The Trey Culotta is very important to the team because it's our tournament. We set it up every year. We run it smooth. We try and get it running smooth. We invite hard competition to the Trey Culotta to make sure we get tough matches in.
What does the out-of-state competition do for you?
The out-of-state competition is like my toughest competition personally, and it helps me stay focused because I know I have to be working to win those out-of-state matches.
Well, the goals for Trey Culotta this year is win. We got a lot of tough competition coming in. I would really like it if our team won again. I'm working hard to get my own Trey Culotta sweatshirt this year. I'm trying to win it.
So are you looking forward to being there again this year?
I'm looking forward to being there. I'm going to do whatever Coach Nichols asks us to do. Mimi always loves to give out those trophies and awards to the wrestlers. She loves kissing those sweaty wrestlers because it seems to remind her of Trey.
So it allows his legacy to live on, like someone who is not the most talented, someone who is not the first choice, who was able to overcome all odds and win. And I think, my wife is pregnant, and hopefully my kids will be able to learn about their uncle through this tournament, and it lives on for a very long time.